when we go then. Whoopsie daisy. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Jaraci Cup 8. Going to be continuing our coverage of the group stage now. We move on to Cabel versus Shrike again from Group D. Now, you know I normally cast all the Group A games, but I also cast some games that are pretty cool on the side. And I was told that this was a pretty fun one. Cabel, obviously, in the chat, you can see him there. But he's pretty new to the scene. This is his first tournament. But he learned DOK the same way that I did, which is just watching replays. And so I have a soft spot in my heart for anyone like that. And I think that he is actually really a contender to get into not just the upper bracket, but actually to go, you know, maybe to quarters in it. So really excited to see what he pulls off here. He's going to be playing the Galzian faction, of course, with that two salvagers coming out here in the basement are not retired. You would expect that this is going to be ref mode first. And his opponent, Shrike, of course, didn't play in the last tournament, but he is back in the scene. Long-time player Shrike, obviously, so you should know him by now. LEV Fab started for him with a couple salvagers produced. This is probably AVs, but he keeps the base runner up here, so perhaps he is planning on doing something else. Always kind of fun to see Coalition players keep the base runner for that turret, of course, but these days actually Soban is kind of the faction that everyone's playing these days. So it's fun to see someone playing Coalition again. We saw that, of course, actually against Moose, who's in the chat too, as you can see. And Cabel going to be driving out here with the base runner. Now, he wants to drop a scanner. That's kind of his main purpose here. Shrike actually moving this base runner very aggressively out across the field. Now, I've got to say, if he builds a support cruiser, I'm going to explode here. He should be going tech. Okay, he is. Good. He's done that in the past, and I always have criticized it. Actually, Cabel's scanner here a little bit far away. I wish we could modify the terrain for these maps, because I've noticed this. If you have the spawn that Shrike is on, if you put the scanner right there, it catches the carrier, but if you put the scanner right here, it doesn't, right? You can see that vision bubble does not quite cover the carrier. Very, very frustrating there. So he actually doesn't have vision on his opponent's tech, but I don't think Shrike is going to do a whole lot, you know, by way of like trying to deny that info. And Shrike with the probe as well, he's going to see everything that's going on over here, so we do have ref mode on the way. Sandskimmer Fab coming up first, that's the proper way to play this, I think. Cabel, like I said, he seems to have gotten his start by watching replays, and that's how I did as well, right? Because back in 2016, I didn't really play until, like, July, so I had just watched replays until then. That's all I knew about the game. And I can definitely... Oh, no, he did make a support cruiser. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Very much disapproving of this. But, yeah, so, like, when you watch replays, rather than playing the game to, like, get your start, you don't do, like, improper things like that, you know what I mean? So he always is going for Sandskimmer Fab first, and I've noticed it. It warms my soul. Because the reason, of course, is that if you don't do this, is very greedy, and if you do get rushed, like, say, Shrike is going for AV Fab here, maybe you just die, right? So you always want to be, you know, when you're going for greed builds, you need to be making sure that you're safe. So you can go with that greed, but only in cases where you really expect that your opponent is not going to punish it. Shrike, though, I don't really understand he's done this again, so... The thing was, he always used to go for LEV Fab, and then he would go for Support Cruiser, and I was like, just build the Support Cruiser first, get LEV Fab second. This time he went for AV Fab, and then built a Support Cruiser. That's, like, even worse. So I don't exactly know why he's done this, but... maybe he's got something in mind here, who's to say. Probe is just gonna scout, yeah, PC's there, carry's moving out. So this is ref mode is done. 2 artifacts attempting to extract now, actually, but they really shouldn't, because obviously these AVs will be able to ward them off. But it's not an AV rush, right? He's just now come out with him, so it's kind of interesting timing here. He does have the tech pretty early, but I think he would have it just as fast if he had built, you know, the support cruiser before getting AV tech. Base runner gonna set down a turret here, actually. It looks like Cabel is on top of that, so he's gonna pull these guys out. May lose one anyway, though. Remains to be seen. No, it looks like he is gonna get out with 10 HP. Pretty close there. And Shrike, pretty decent smoke here. Obviously, these guys gonna move up to the main base, but really he just wants to catch the base runners for now. Although, actually, there's really nothing to stop them here. Oh, dear. Oh. That's kind of awkward, isn't it? There's actually really nothing here to stop this AV. So, he can use Salvager Det Packs, and he's got quite a couple skims. This is actually not going to be a huge deal, but he has to deal with this, right? And this is obviously not what he wants to be doing. Going for, like, an eco build, you know, you want to be going eco, right? You don't want to be trying to deal with AV rush or whatever. Power 1 done for him now. He's actually moving the carrier very aggressively toward his opponent's base. I don't know quite about this, because I don't think... And by the way, he's going to need to use Salvager Det Packs, I think, to make this work here. But, like, Shrike doesn't have armor yet, so he'll be kind of okay that way. And Shrike actually taking power, because you can see, like, this carrier's getting a little bit aggressive. I mean, the thing is Oh, and Salvager's getting hurt now, too, by the way. He did actually build, like, 2 base runners, right? So, like, maybe you start with one, but he built another. So maybe Cabel's game plan here was to try and just kind of carrier rush his opponent here. But these AVs are really throwing a wrench in the plan. Would have been really nice for Shrike then if he could have gotten armor 1, and he is going to take it now. But obviously that power 1 is not like the worst play in the game, is it? Because, you know, he's trying to get ready for, you know, the potential, you know, carrier play that's coming out from Cabel here, so... Then again, he might have just been trying to escort these guys out. He does get the Space Burner out with only like 200 HP, so that's pretty clutch. Skims on high ground are going to feel pretty good here, but the AV can delay for a little bit of time by smoking. Hey look, it's Houston. Carry production upgrade coming up from Shrike. Actually, this reminds me, I ought to have pinged on my server as well, so that Paulus doesn't get mad at me. That artifact is out now for Cabel, but Shrike has just as much power, and he's starting to tech too, because his eco is a lot stronger here, and Railfab is on the queue as well. That's what you want, obviously, as the defending player of this type of rush strategy. This Space Runner is going to get slain, it looks like. A support cruiser coming out too. This is also a really good call, because obviously the support cruiser is, you know, well, it heals your carrier, right? But the thing that he needs on top of that, it looks like he canceled carry production, by the way, for this. The thing he needs on top of that is AAVs, and this is why you can see these skims are going to come flying in here onto the bases, and these guys are completely undefended right now, so... Shrike can do similar harassment, but, like, he will actually die here, because there is military for Cabel in that area, but Shrike has nothing, so... He's going to want to make sure he doesn't just, you know, sort of die to skims here, but... He does win the carrier trade, so Cabel needs to leave now, but the thing is that Shrike can follow him anywhere he goes, and Shrike has got Railfab. No, it looks like he canceled it, actually. So he canceled it just to get as much money as possible. 2 in armor, 2 in weapons. It's a very, very smart spread here from Shrike. And the SC is going to get... Is this guy even actually healing? Oh, okay, yeah, he is. Never mind. Just a visual bug there. So the SC is going to get killed by these skims here, but, like, Shrike just cool as a cucumber is like, alright then, I can sit on top of you. And yeah, he's got it, actually. Power 3 on the way. As for Cabel, no sign of Power 2 even started yet, so he's not going to have that ready. Yes, it is. You're definitely right there. Because, like, the speed he doesn't need, but... Wow. What a thing, actually. I didn't expect Shrike to do that, but, like, it worked out for him, totally. And, he got that eco harass, he slowed down his opponent, clearly. And as a result, his opponent, you know, Cabel was trying to make this, like, carrier power play with, like, very low power, and Shrike just called his bluff and just killed it. That's really, really cool. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, good on Shrike for seeing that, like, that was an option and that there was no way he could lose that fight. Game 1, then, gonna go to Shrike here. Very, very quick game as well, I've got to say. It's not the game that we typically expect to see on the Shallows. But game 2, gonna be Firebase Crow. That's how they reproduce. 18 plus carrier action here. This one give me Shrike's pick. Maybe I didn't mention this, but Cabel had picked the Shallows. But the factions don't switch. So it's going to be Coalition versus Gals again. And, yeah, here we are. With an eco build, I have not been able to hold that rush. By the way, Sandscaper Fab comes out immediately. Scanner's out. Probably this is base for to retire here. Yeah, the thing about that, like, if you can get both of the artifacts out, you may have actually a pretty good time, because then that's like having Power 2 twice for free, right? But the thing is, like, I don't know, he was on one base, obviously, and Shrike just with a couple of AVs was able to totally destroy this. I think maybe it can work, but, like, Shallows probably isn't the best map for it either, right? You probably want a map like College Teeth would be the worst possible, but a map like maybe Galzian Territories you could do that on. But it always seems risky. Like, I've seen carry rushes work, but they don't really seem to be the best. By the way, this is going to be a rail rush here from Cabel. He does well, maybe actually. He put the 2 guys on RUs, that's why I'm saying that. He does this a little bit differently than I did, so he's actually moving, like, straight to Sandskimmer Fabrication, and then he builds the salvagers later. But if you check his resources tab here, he does obviously not have the RUs for it just yet. This'll speed up rail tech, I think, right? Because, like, you build salvagers later, so you don't have as many CUs. You'll get the RU count just at the same time, but, like, clearly, you know, you slow down the CU gathering right here, so, like, you must be trying to get to Railfab as fast as possible, right? But, I don't know, I like having a couple skims out first. Regardless, though, his game, not mine. He can do a quick drop here now if he wants, just by double tapping U there. These guys have the money for Railfab to get started. And it is going to be AVs first for Shrike here, so this is a pretty decent like lineup for Cabel. Obviously, if he goes for rails, then the AVs are a little tough to work with. You kind of just build like 2 or 3 of them and then spam AVs off the back of it. And the AVs can harass the eco on the other side, or they can use smoke to buy a bit of time, but they're not terribly good against the rails, clearly. So yeah, Railfab did get started. That's what I was looking for. And then he'll need Fleet Cap 45 at some point as well. I think this is going to be 5 skims, so he'll probably want to be teching that. I have a lot of practice in this build, as you guys know, painfully well. But the thing is, it's very fun to see Cabel using it as well. Obviously, I didn't cast the matches, but I watched his games against Mask, like, from her perspective on stream, right? And he was rail rushing. And I've got to say, like, most new players can't pull off the rail rush, but he made it look pretty good, so... I'm excited to see what he's able to do here. We do have AVs out on the field now, though. Which matches am I casting today? So I'm going to do this one, obviously, and then I'm going to do the casual match between you and Moose, and then we'll have to see from there. Hopefully I'll get some suggestions on group stage matches that were particularly fun. I've got quite a bit of time, so we can do whatever we like. AVs here for now. Just kind of bullying the sand skimmers away, but the railgun is out. Now this is, I think, the fake hill of Firebase Drill, but we'll know in a moment. These sand skimmers, though, really don't want to be moving in this manner. Yeah, I guess this is the real hill then. Well, no, this has got to be the fake hill of Firebase Drill, right? One AV gets sniped there for 1 sand skimmers. That's going to be a trade, obviously, that Shrike would be okay with. It's a little bit backwards here, though. He wants these LAVs to be on this side, and he wants the AAVs to be on this side. Because the AVs can tank the carrier, but they can't really tank these railguns. So the AVs can do eco pressure. They can't tank the carry for long, but they can do a bit, right? And the LAVs, meanwhile, if you can gain strikecraft superiority, that's like the... Uh-oh, too close here. Shrike, a little bit of sleep on it. Okay, he's going to start moving out now. Assault railguns are faster, mind you, so you can't smoke up to them quite as well as you'd like. Yeah, he is going to end up backing away here. But look, these sand skimmers are vulnerable now, and these are very much countered by the AVs. A little bit of bad unit control, though. I think he maybe could have caught some of these guys off. Your eyes are burning for the entire evening. Right, yeah. No, I don't want to play our group stage matches at, like, an inconvenient time for you, so that's totally fine by me. But it looks like Cabel, actually, he's going to be doing a bit of a fake here, so he's going back onto ref... Well, it's not a fake, it's more like a contain type of build. Yeah, he's going back onto ref mode at this timing, but he needs to be careful, because he may just lose these assault rails to the LAVs. You see this hill here? Really, really inconvenient for Cabel. This is very good for Shrike. Assault pack not done yet, but these guys are already here, so I think this is bad times for these assault railguns. Yeah, they're both gonna get sniped here. This PC all of a sudden just kind of floating out here in the middle of nowhere then. Yeah, he seems to recognize it, so he's gonna pop back. But that's a little bit unfortunate, so the skims came to check this. But remember, like, the carrier is not gonna, like, worry about the LAVs, right? So I think that what Cabel wanted to do was leave the skims down here. And again, strikecraft superiority is like everything in a rail rush. If you lose it, you probably just lose the rush. And so you need to be really, really careful about that kind of thing. Uh-oh, and the skim's getting a little out of position, over chasing the LAVs, and now they have to come back over the AVs, which have AoE again now, by the way, so you can see AoE slow there, does manage to catch 3 of them. They hold on to that 4th skim as well, gonna take all of them out. And this is a lot of LAVs smacking down on this PC here, and it gets stuck! Oh no, that's pretty unlucky. Okay, he catches it, it's gonna move again. But I don't think this guy was gonna get away anyway. This is probably a dead PC. I don't want to call it too early, but... Shrike could secure it, though, by, like, getting up on this high ground over here. Uh-oh, all of a sudden, things going really, really wrong for Cabel. And this is what I was talking about rail rushes. I praised him for being able to do it, but it's very, very easy to mess it up. And if you do, it's so punishing. And Shrike, by the way, perfect follow-up to this. This is exactly what he wants to do. He built an SC, he's going up on a 2-base, and now I think the choice is probably fighter and gunship, but that's up to him, obviously. Really, anything is good from here. Yep, fighter and gunship, that's on the queue. Oh dear. Oh dear. And it probably wants to put in the healing just to get this guy healed up, but it's pretty academic. Might as well, though. It's always a nice move. Keep your guys healthy. That's why we go to the doctor, after all. Care production upgrade coming up. And yeah, he's going to be sitting pretty here. This is obviously against a 1-base player at this point. He does have ref mode, though, to Cabel, so I mean, he can move up to 2 once he's able to, like, stabilize against these LAVs, but that's going to take so long, right? And in the meantime, you'd expect Shrike will have well, you know, he'll have fighters in the hangar and he'll just come out and smack everything down again. It's a very, very, very rough situation to be in as the Galzian player. I mean, pretty much anytime you lose a PC in the early game as Galzian, you're almost guaranteed to lose. You can come back, but uncommon, right? Pulling back cost him both the rush and the hold. Yeah, I think pulling away the skimmers is what really did it. I think he, like, because he lost the assault rails here, that meant that the PC was going to die, and the skims weren't there, right, to help the assault rails stay alive. And so this is what Shrike wants to do with the AVs. I mentioned, right, they don't do terribly well against the railguns themselves, but they can do quite well, you know, harassing the eco on the back line, so he pulls them over there. But then it caused Cabel to pull kind of half of his army back, but leave half of it out. And then Shrike just kind of jumped on it and killed the assault railguns, and then the PC is going to die. Whereas going for ref mode actually off the back of this is not bad, because you have so much pressure off the rail rush that your opponent kind of has to respond to you, right? And so it's very common that they'll build too much defense and then you get away with the eco, right? And you just have like way more money than them. But if he's going to do that, he needs to pull back entirely and keep that PC alive, keep the assault rails alive, and make sure he doesn't lose the strikecraft superiority during the transition. I really like how he went for a second PC, right? Like, he's got ideas of trying to get ahead in a very RTS type of way, right? Which I think is great, but yeah, I just didn't quite execute it, right? Next time, though, right? Next time, baby. Shrike, meanwhile, by the way, this is interesting. He's going for the next carry production upgrade, too. Like, off of 2 base, he can't really sustain this with, like, strike fighters, but he could build a ton of LAVs if he wanted with this. Looks like a little fight going to be brewing over here on the extraction zone, though, as Shrike is going to bring that base runner in. I think he dropped a turret. No, that's just the initial cooldown. LEVs here then going to do their best to try and fight the assault ships, but I'd really like to see him pull these guys out, because they're not going to trade effectively there. The strike fighters can handle it all on their own. And indeed they will, so down goes that assault ship. AVs, meanwhile, coming in on the backlines. This base runner is probably going to get forfeit as well. And AVs here going to start fighting these assault ships, although, well, no, they're probably in a good spot here, because obviously the strike fighters can do, like, the real damage. I'd love to see him finish this off, but yeah, just like that. And the sand skimmers are going to finish off the AV, I guess, but all the defense is gone now, in a really good smoke, actually. That's great. In fact, he can't even really use base runner heal, because then he's gonna make the AV get healed as well here. So I'd love to see Shrike, you know, focusing on these LAVs right now, but... Or the assault railgun, that is. Yeah, he is probably going to get it. Boost, in fact, being used as well. Yeah, so forcing Cabel to just kind of move around his bases, obviously, that's exactly what he wants to do. Now, missile ship fab is done. But this is always the problem, like, with getting attacked by air like this. Like, if you get behind, like I said, losing a PC. Now that he's got air, right, Cable's like, okay, well, I'll build anti-air, and then he starts making missile ships or something, and then, Houston, that's the guy in chat. Shrike just builds, like, 50 LAVs and just kills everything that's on the field now, right? And in fact, he's gonna go for assault cruisers instead. He got that third production upgrade, though. Like, I think he really could have just, like, gone for, like, 50 LAVs in the meantime, you know, and just drove in and killed everything with LAVs, right? But that's the other thing I'm saying, though, is that, like, at this point, anything is good for Shrike. Like, it's pretty hard for him to lose the game in this position. But Cabel seems to really be giving it his best shot here. He does have a missile ship coming out, I think, from this PC. No, it must have come out from that one. Strike fighters are gonna go for a little nibble, but they choose to back away. Yeah, I like it, Cabel. Never give up. Never surrender. Now, he does have a assault ship fab. He could try to go for interceptors, but it's probably not wise here, because interceptors are better than strike fighters at the anti-air fight. That's obviously the reason he could go for it. But Shrike has such a lead already that it's probably not terribly wise. Not to mention, when there are strike fighters out, you can't really use the interceptors on a ground army, because obviously your opponent could just, you know, come in with the strike fighters once you fire a volley and kill you. But Cable's actually moving out with his carry here. This is very aggressive, and he's actually made 2 base runners. He's like playing for like the win here rather than playing for the defense. You know what? I kind of like it. It's interesting. Like, obviously, if Shrike had a bunch of LAVs, this would be a terrible idea, because, you know, they just drive in and kill everything right now, right? Uh-oh, did he waste missiles on that? Oh, he wasted a lot of missiles on that. Ew. But yes, that's the thing. Like, if Cabel can get away with, you know, a lot of artifact pressure here, he actually might be able to, you know, this might be like his option for getting back into the game, in sort of a funny way. That artifact is picked up though. Whoa, I pulled my mouse. And that base firm's not gonna die. I guess he's got the assault ships though, so if he's, yeah, he's aware. He's gonna move these assault ships over, assault sheeps? That's a new one. Assault ships over there. Try and stop this artifact from getting out here. He hasn't seen this carrier yet though, and that scanner is close, but, I guess, actually, Shrike doesn't know, like, or whoops, Shrike doesn't know what that is. He can't see it, so, but he hasn't seen the carrier at all yet. Power 2 coming out now for Shrike. Railgun fab as well. Yeah, okay, that's what I was looking for. Like, is he sort of aware that a carrier push is coming in? It seems like he is. I don't exactly know how, but maybe it's just that sixth sense. He hasn't seen it yet, but... Well, no, wait, what am I talking about? The strike fighters, they saw it, didn't they? Artifact does get sniped out here. Yeah, so he knows about this carrier, actually. But the thing is, as Cabel is moving across on the side here, right? He does have that artifact, so he'll bring the scoreline 1-1. But look at this, he's got an AC on this side, and he has an AC on this side, and these two are both gonna... Well, they're gonna chunk, to put it simply. And we do have Railfab done as well, right? So, obviously Shrike has got, yeah, Shrike has got the requisite defense here. He doesn't have Mag Excel, which would be kind of nice to get, but... There's one heavy railgun out, to be fair, so this is chunking the armor, and the missile ship barrage really good here as well. Actually, yeah, wow, look at this. It looks like Shrike is going to lose this AC. Okay, I like it. Pretty good defense there by Cabel to stop this AC from just ravaging the main base. Does get that artifact out as well, so that brings the scoreline to 1-1. And this guy here actually then is just going to camp here on the third base. And I think he getting a sensor ping is Cabel from this PC. It's like, hey, there's something here, but he doesn't know what it is yet. But yeah, the thing is, like, this is also one of these really cool as a cucumber moves from Shrike, like he did in the last game, right? He's just chilling here. He's like, look, I don't even need to attack your bases. Like, this guy's doing all the damage I need because you're not on 3 base and I am. So I'm going to have more money than you. I'm going to have more units than you. This is going to be, you know, done and dusted. And he does have armor 3 now. So these rails, pretty hardy boys as well. And so I like that he's building AVs now as well instead of LAVs because obviously, you know, the upgrades affect them as well. Although, holy goodness. Wait a minute. I only just noticed this. That's quite a float he's got there. Strike fighter is being deployed to kill a scanner, by the way. I don't know about this. Yeah, similar. Well, similar, but not quite the same. That is so much CU. Yeah, look at this. He's gonna spam a bunch of LAVs now. Yeah, they do. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm always expecting people to build more LAVs than they do, right? And I think we can see in this game how valuable it would have been. Because after the strike fighters came in and, like, did the damage to the assault ships, if he had like, 30 LAVs or something, right, just everything's dead, but... By the way, AC finally getting pushed out by this carrier here, so he's gonna fly in with that overcharge onto the base. Doesn't actually quite finish the kill. Oh no, he will. Maybe he can get out this way, maybe, but the strike fighter's actually gonna engage here. I don't think I like this. Because even if you kill the railguns, this AC's not gonna get in, so you're not really facilitating anything. And that is gonna be 3 strike fighters dead, actually, so that's a big deal. Shrike, meanwhile, taking into BCs. I was actually wondering if he was gonna do that. Artillery might not be bad, though, because you know your opponent's got rails, and he has assault ships, too, which are AVs, or artillery is pretty decent against that as well. But these LAVs probably want to be in that fight at the moment. And then power reserves would be the other thing that just makes a lot of sense. This carrier is actually going to take a huge amount of damage just from these railguns. Look at this. It's like instantly takes it down to half. Yeah, right? So it's like, what's he sending the air in for? He's not really facilitating anything. Honestly, this might be a dead carrier, but Shrike is really committing for it. I'm not sure. You've got such an advantage right now, you don't need to gamble for this. Yeah, and actually, this is going to go badly for him. Yeah, that's a pretty Shrike play, I'm not going to lie. But, well, it's also a bozo play, so I'm not going to get too mad at him for it. This carrier gets out with 1,000 HP. That's a bit of a yike. Especially because, like, look, there's only 2 rails here. Like, he clearly could have killed them with his railguns, and then he could have just killed the... Oh my gosh, you're right, A-Game. If you just kept the high ground... Oh, Shrike, my boy. This is what we enjoy watching you for, and the missile ship barrage is good. I kind of missed it, but he did a huge amount of damage to the LAVs. Oh, no. Having a bit of trouble closing this game out at Shrike, I've got to say. I mean, you know, all of a sudden it's actually Cabel with the better army on the field, and I still prefer Shrike's position because he has a massive bank, his carrier is pretty powered, and he's going to have this powerful tech here, but like... He should have won the game already, right? Like, isn't that... Actually, main bases are getting mined out. This is a lot later in the game than I thought it was. But Power 3 going to be finishing now as well as BC Fab. He's got a couple rails coming out too. The thing is, like, if he had, you know, 8 railguns as well, these things would look a lot scarier. But that's whatever. Power 4 on the way, and I would assume we start seeing some base, Battlecruiser Fab coming out as well. With the railguns doing armor break, the carrier powered up here, yeah, these assault ships have to make themselves pretty scarce, and indeed some of them will die anyway. It looks like the Strike Fighter's going to launch too. And to be fair, there's no anti-air coverage here, so this is actually... Well, except for that base runner. So this is fair game here. This Strike Fighter can kind of do its job. Didn't manage to stop this guy from healing, it looks like. Splash damage not that big. And here the BC is getting queued up. But I'd love to see him go for Power 4, actually, as well. Honestly, yeah, he canceled the Strike Fighters. I think that's the right call. He doesn't really need them. Power 4 would be good, though. I think 3 BCs may be a bit too much, but again, up to him. Base Runner going to try to keep itself alive with the heal, but that turret is just going to chunk him down. Interestingly, though, not a lot of people know this. If you drive directly on top of a turret, it can't shoot you. So, this is true of actually more units in the game than that, but the turret is the one that you can exploit because obviously it can't move. So like an LAV, for example, can't shoot like underneath itself, so because the turret can't traverse like that. So if you drive like literally on top of an LAV, it can't shoot you, but it can just move. But the turret can't move, so it's the same thing. Not many people know that, I think. Artifact picked up here by Cabel. The game is 2D. Well, yeah. So the turrets just have like a. The turrets have like a traverse, and they can't, you know, look down at a certain, like they have like collision boxes for their height, and so it knows it can't, you know, look down and like get a line of sight on something. So if you're directly on top of a unit, it often can't shoot. The thing is, like, the carrier turrets can actually turn inwards, so they can always shoot. But even if they couldn't, I think like one of them would have an angle on you. It's kind of a weird thing about carriers. They sort of break the laws of physics that way. But like turrets, obviously they don't. So the turret can't traverse down far enough to shoot at the unit that's on top of it, technically, and so it can't get a line of sight on it. Sort of funny, but it works. A little bit of a backstab here from Cabel, by the way. Shrike does have some rails at home. Maybe he'll be able to clean this up. He's going to do huge damage to this carry, though. Oh, Cabel, you got to get out of here, yeah. I'd say, like, full power and speed. When you see 3 BCs on your doorstep, this is a bad time. And to be fair, Shrike has taken damage, too. This is a lot of high ground rails. Does have the 1 Strike Fighter still. There's anti-air here, though. Backstab is reached here, and it kills the SC almost immediately. Cabel really low now. Oh my gosh. Base Runner heal being popped and everything, but keep moving, keep moving! Ah! Oh no, he stood still. Ugh. Railguns have to be on that BC. Oh my gosh. He does go down. Holy jeez. And that is going to be the end of Cabel. That was pretty close, though. And Shrike with a super dominant early game, but really trouble converting it in the mid game. But he does come out with the win, and that is going to bring him to 2-0. Good to see him back in the scene, and good to see he still is, he's still Shrike. He's not a noob now. So, hope you guys enjoyed that then. I think now we're going to move on to the cast between Moose and A-Game.